Hello, true duelists. It's YGO Strat's Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, where I'm going to be talking about some of the cards that have impacted Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and some of the other ones that, they did not. Today's card, the Bunny. Yeah, this one is Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit was first released as a secret rare in Photon Shockwave in 2011, with 3 reprints to date. First, in the 2012 collectible tins as a super rare, in what historians know as the greatest year of all time, the year 2012. Next, as a common in the Dino Smashers Fury structure deck in 2017, and most recently in King's Court in 2021, as both a rare and a collector's rare. For time on the ban list, it was semi-limited in September of 2012 as a slap on the wrist to the then meta-relevant Dino Rabbit, before further being limited a year later on the infamous September 2013 ban list. From there, it stayed at 1 until September 2017, where it was put back to unlimited and has stayed ever since this video. Wake this guy up when September ends, because apparently it only goes around the ban list on September. A level 4 Earth attribute beast-type monster with 300 attack and 100 defense, its effect reads: cannot be special summoned from the deck. You can banish this card you control, special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but destroy them during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rescue Rabbit once per turn. Rescue Rabbit was the second rescue card that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta had come to see, following Cat before it, and setting up Hamster and Ferret to underwhelm us. And that state of a complete lack of whelm was in no small part due to this adorable little fella and just how good he was. It followed the trend of Cat before it, giving players access to 2 monsters in exchange for 1. But where Cat was good because it gave players effect monsters and a free synchro summon, Rabbit forced players to play vanillas at the exchange of a free Xyz monster. Photon Shockwave, its debut set, was the second ever set in the game after the release of the Xyz monster, and gave us not only the Bunny, but 2 of the strongest Xyz monsters, not only at the time, but arguably even up until today, in the form of Evolzar Dolka and Evolzar Logia. In just one set, the metagame suddenly had access to 2 monster negates or an omni negate of a summon or any spell or trap. All thanks to the Bunny, the new Xyz, and some old-ass vanilla dinosaurs like Sabersaurus or Caboozles. Those meant you had a strong and repeatable engine for plays that was all wrapped up nicely with Power, Spell, and Trap as a control deck, and one that would help define its format, able to compete with the likes of Full Power Inzektor, Wind-Up Shenanigans on the Party Boat, and Future Fusion Chaos Dragon. At the time, this was due in no small part to Priority, a retired game mechanic that low-key got retired because of our helmet-wearing friend here, where modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Will allow the opponent an opportunity to respond to monster effects. Priority allowed the turn player to just fire off a monster effect immediately before anything could be done. For example, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If you were to summon Rescue Rabbit, I could chain Effect Veiler to the summon, targeting the Bunny, and then its effects will be negated for the turn. But with Priority, you could summon Rescue Rabbit, and then just declare Priority and immediately use its effect. And even if I've got an Effect Veiler, it doesn't matter. You have Priority. Which meant in real terms, with the exception of Solemn Warning or Solemn Judgment, if the Bunny got summoned, the Bunny went off. The Banish for Cost was also a change that maybe sounds like it was a watered down change compared to Rescue Cat before it, but where Cat could then be abused with Premature Burial and Brionac, the Banish meant Rescue Rabbit could be abused with Tour Guide from the Underworld and Leviair the Sea Dragon, making it so you only needed 1 rabbit to be able to reliably recur it in a duel provided you saw your Tour Guides. Dino Rabbit was far from the definitive best deck of its time, but it was still a competitor in its metagame. The ability to end on Logia or Dolka on top of a few traps meant that going second could be an uphill battle for any deck against this deck, and as the format grew and changed, with the release of Dark World and hits on the ban lists, the deck would grow into Macro Rabbit, Dino Rabbit, but maining Macro Cosmos, to shut off the graveyard plays of other meta deck contenders to an annoying level of success. The limit of Rescue Rabbit meant Dino Rabbit would fall, and soon enough dinosaurs would be completely irrelevant thanks to the might of the Dragon Rulers. After its limit, it fell out of popularity pretty hard and pretty understandably. The card does require you to play vanilla monsters and keep them in the deck. So not only is drawing the vanilla monster a bad thing because it just sucks to see a wasted normal summon, it also means that seeing the other vanilla or the bunny at any other point in the deck were useless. They were now dead draws. Not a very fun time. This was okay when the card was at 2 or 3, but 1 card and 3 garnets is literally the opposite ratio for the engine where Garnet got its name from, and is very much not a good deck building strategy, so no one really did it. Still, it did pop up in Metal Foe while it was limited, since, as I've said, 2 cards for the price of 1 is never a bad thing, and since Metal Foe's entire engine of monsters are vanillas, it meant it could be played 100% Garnet free, and seeing it early game meant it was pretty much always live. While it did jump to 3 in 2017, a new card that players would come to love also showed up in 2017, going by the name of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And man, as someone who tried to play Gladiator Beast in a post-Ash Blossom world, let me tell you, that hurts. Real bad. Rabbit eats your normal summon, and using that up just to be negated is very hard to come back from. Especially in a post-2017 world, no board really means no shot at winning the game. The 1-for-1 trade is a killer for any deck playing the bunny when it comes to Ash Blossom, and that coupled with the fact that 2 vanillas to become an Xyz was not enough to keep it up with the meta in any sense. And by the time Lynx came about, the card was already 5 years old and was more than replaced by other more competitive means to get 2 monsters on board, often with more resilience to hand traps. And speaking of hand traps, the game now had Veiler, Ash, and eventually Infinite and Permanence that all stop Bunny. And while they're all played with varying levels of frequency, you're pretty much guaranteed to see at least one of them in any given deck list, meaning everyone's maining hate for the bunny these days. It isn't all doom and gloom for the bunny, however. Lynx gave us Lynx Spider, which allowed you to summon the vanilla from the hand, and meant that opening 2 of your vanillas was not only not much of a brick, it also meant you could essentially go full combo, since normal 1 vanilla into Lynx Spider out the second vanilla, and you've got full combo without dying to Ash Blossom. And plenty of decks have since come out that use normal monsters that Bunny could find a home in depending on player preference. Sun Avalon, Magikey, and Suship are all fairly new decks themed around a level 4 or lower vanilla that can all play Bunny. Do they? Fuck if I know, dude. Apologies to any Magikey community player representative if I've now lied about the bunny's viability in your deck list, but it doesn't matter whether or not people do. What's important is that they can. Overall, Bunny is a staple of a bygone era, one of the kings of the early 2014 format, and that time frame's representative of Yu-Gi-Oh's Mutt deck. Mutt decks pop up all the time throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! Dino Rabbit, Hat, the Pile, all decks that make up their plays by just playing the good stuff cards of their time, and engines that can stand up to the meta. And Rescue Rabbit, I think, rightfully holds its place among them as one of Yu-Gi-Oh's great Mutt decks. At least, for its time. It is a simple 2-for-1 card that will gain advantage, and one that looks pretty damn cute while doing so, even if you have to main some unfortunate vanillas in order to do it. And so, that's our look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, Rescue Rabbit. Stay tuned for our next video, and feel free to suggest some cards to review or what type of video you'd like to see. Don't forget to like, and as always, subscribe to YGO Strats so you too can become a true duelist.